All right, so that was a little bit about Team Liquid. As you can see, esports is probably not like you imagined it, and it's a very, very large industry. So we're going to hear from Victor Goossens, who's actually the founder and co-CEO of Team Liquid, and he's going to be talking to our very own Milan, who's part of the SAP Global Partnerships team. Now, Team Liquid has been working together with an SAP team to use the capabilities of SAP BTP in order to turn data into business value, understand those analytics, get those insights, and be able to win more championships, like Victor says at the end. So let's watch the video.
Hello and welcome to this quick session about esports, Team Liquid, and what SAP has to do with it. My name is Milan. I work for SAP Global Sponsorships, and in my role, I have the pleasure to be working with a lot of interesting people, industry leaders, thought leaders, and one of them is certainly the gentleman in this session, Mr. Victor Goossens, who's the founder and co-CEO of our partner, Team Liquid. Hi, Victor.
Hey, Milan, and excellent pronunciation of my name there.
I was practicing a lot. So before we go into the topic of esports, let's talk a little bit about yourself first. Obviously, like I said, you're pretty much, seen as a heavyweight in the esports industry. You've been working in esports for a long time. I think more than 20 years by now. Tell us a little bit about your personal background. Like, how did you get into esports? How did you get the idea of founding something like Team Liquid? And did you play professionally yourself?
I mean, I did found Team Liquid. I am the founder of Team Liquid. That is true. But when it was technically first created, it was just a clan on Battle.net, which is the server and communication platform where StarCraft players came together to play with each other. And so I never founded it with the intention for it to become what it is today. Everything has really developed very, very much organically. And so I started off as a StarCraft player, StarCraft 1 that is. I found the game when I was in high school, and I just really, I was incredibly passionate about it from the get-go. For me, it's not just about like gaming or playing games. Honestly, for me, it was an outlet, one, for my competitive drive, like a place where I could really focus on getting better and competing and self-evaluation, and that just really drew me in. And the second part is actually like the social component. Everything online is so social if you're willing to see it that way. And so I made a lot of friends back then that I practiced with and hung out with online, and many of them still are good friends of mine today. And so in those years, I founded Team Liquid, but the first 10 years, it was all hobby. I just maintained it out of passion. We created a website where we covered professional StarCraft, developed a community there that grew a lot all the way until 2010 when StarCraft 2 came out. And in the meantime, in those years, I actually switched to being a professional poker player myself, which allowed me a lot of freedom in life. I could set my own schedule and figure out what I wanted to do. And so I was always able to work on Team Liquid on the side. And when StarCraft 2 came out, that was basically the sequel to the game that we build our reputation in, that we build our brand in. And it also exploded esports in the West. Maybe not compared to today's standards, but compared to 2009 standards, it certainly did. And it was really the first game where large audiences were drawn together, big viewership online. And so with that, Team Liquid blew up as well, and that's really when I started doing this full time. Since then, we have been just continuously developing. We've gone into more games and found more partners such as SAP that support us in being able to do what we do. Today we have over 100 players. We have 170 staff members. We have two headquarters, one in the Netherlands, one in Los Angeles, and we are in 15 different games.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I think, being a little bit conscious about our audience today, SAP has been working in esports for about 3 years now. We have you as our strategic partner, but would you mind giving us a little bit of a rundown and a summary of what esports actually is? Because I don't think, even though it's been around forever now, or for a very long time, and it kind of relates to gaming, I'm not sure if everybody really understands what esports is about.
ultimately, esports is a collection term for games that are played at a competitive level. It is an easy term to communicate about our industry and what we do. If you dive in a little bit, you'll find that the games that we are in really should be treated as their own separate and individual sports, actually. So you can look at Team Liquid as an organization that is in 15 different sports. All of these 15 have different players, they have different communities, they have different cultures, they have different monetization. What it comes down to is competitive gaming. And for Team Liquid, it is about winning the championships. It is about getting the results and building a business and a framework around that to find continuous success. We do that together with you supporting us in the software and data department.
Cool. And so let's look a little bit more at the teams and the players then. So as I understood correctly, those players are professionals for the most part, right? So does that mean they spend all their time playing games? And what are those games? What are the most important games? And what does a day in the life of a player look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the largest game in the world is League of Legends. A couple of really other big games are Counter-Strike, Dota, Valorant is really coming up. But yeah, these players are very much the definition of professionals. They give this their all. They are full-time. They are entirely dedicated to their craft. And it's honestly not because Team Liquid tells them to do this. I mean, these are individuals that were so passionate about the games they wanted to get good at. They played them for many, many years before they got to a professional level, played them all day just because they loved it so much. And then they reached a certain stage in their lives and in their career where they can compete with the world's best. And that's where Team Liquid oftentimes comes into the picture for many of these players. So they are supported with full-time salaries, oftentimes in the bigger games, full-time salaries that set them up for the rest of their lives. I mean, this is not a small industry anymore. And oftentimes you'll see like our practice schedules are usually like, say, 7 hours a day, where together with the coaching staff and the support staff and our analysts, the players are practicing. Scrimming is what we call it, analyzing their games. And then after that, beyond that, oftentimes these players are again logging into their respective games to practice even more, practice on their own and hone their own individual skills. So it's definitely we do everything we can to optimize their environment and their support so they can focus on their craft.
So a lot of time committed on those sides of the players. I think let's get into the analysis bit a little bit later on because that's actually at the core of our partnership as well. But quick question from my side. So these games that you're talking about, they're free to play for the most part, right? So would you say that everybody could get into esports and could everybody become a professional? Or do you think that there's like any core skills, core values that these professionals have and have to have in order to be successful?
Yeah, it is extremely accessible. That is for sure. I would definitely say anyone can become a professional, but that doesn't mean that if you and I started practicing tomorrow, that we still have that opportunity today. Of course, it requires getting into it at a relatively young age, having a lot of lead up and years of investment before you reach that professional stage. I mean, that's the same in any developed sport. If you look at football, I would say any professional in that sport probably started when they were 4 years old. Okay, so it's not 4 years old for our games per se, but you do see kids picking up games that they are enjoying at a very, very young age, early teenagers, and then maybe they reach the professional level by age 17 or 18 or sometimes 20 or 21. And it is possible to play or practice and pick it up like from your home. As long as you have a PC set up, you can log in and you can find people to play with, and that's what makes it so unique. You don't have to go and find a field to play with and figure out like when your friends are playing in the evening or when your training starts. You can really just start up anytime you want.
Cool, interesting. Yeah, I guess for you and I. Well, you had your history. I think for me it's too late then, but that's fine. Let's talk a little bit about the setup for Team Liquid again. I think you mentioned at the beginning, you have headquarters in 2 different countries, you have training facilities, you have 2 CEOs. So you're one of them, Steve is the other one in North America.
Yep.
So you're a truly multinational organization with a lot of players, a lot of staff members. Let's focus a little bit on the training facility thing, because I know you launched something very new recently in the Netherlands. Why is a training facility required, and what does it actually look like, and how does it help your organization to, be successful?
Ultimately, what we do is just like any other sport, meaning that it's really about once you get to the highest levels, it's really about the details. If you can gain 1% here and 1% there, that's the difference between winning and losing, and so that is our mentality. And I think that should be everyone's mentality in this line of work. If you're trying to be the best in the world, ultimately that is how you are going to get there. And so for us, the training facility offers many great things. Firstly, I think what's really important is actually to touch a little bit on the degree and the amount of communication that these players go through. I'm not aware of a sport or a work environment at all that requires as much communication as our competitive teams do. So if you're playing in an actual match, you're continuously sharing information about what you're seeing. You're continuously indicating what your next move is going to be. And so there's a lot of communication going on there. But then after that is done, you need to discuss like if you went about it the right way, if you used the right strategies, and sometimes you have to point out flaws maybe in your teammates or the other way around, and you have to accept that. And so there's so much communication and feedback and critique and criticism going on that it is very, very important to meet with each other face to face at least every now and then. And you can hash through these big conversations and these big topics in a group setting, in a group environment. I think we, with COVID, I think we're all experiencing that online work really does work as well. But I think when things get tense and there's really like that depth and that degree of communication going on, I think the world still realizes it does help to be in the same room with each other. So that is a big element of the facility, where we're bringing these teams in together so they can go through these training camps and they go through that type of improvement. Beyond that, the things that we offer here, physical activities. There's a gym basically under our facility where the players can go and they can work out. We have a ping pong table. We have chefs that are taking care of food. They don't have to worry, and they don't have to think about like what's going to be my lunch, what's going to be my dinner, am I gonna have to order, what will it be, like do I have to go to the supermarket? They don't have to worry about any of that stuff, and so they can, it's not just about the time saving, but it's actually also just the mental knowledge of not having to worry about anything except for your own craft is, I think, very, very helpful to exceed in your performance. And so those are some of the things that we can offer here.
That's very interesting. Thanks for that. I think we can kind of now have a little bit of a deep dive into the analytics part and the the preparation part in certain games. So, like I said in the beginning, SAP has been active in esports since 2018, and Team Liquid was actually our very first strategic partner in that segment. We started working with your Dota 2 team in the first place. We now extended our collaboration to work with League of Legends as well, and we are using SAP software like SAP HANA, SAP Cloud Platform, to really take in-game data and to provide it to the teams for them to be able to analyze themselves and opponents. Now, I think in the entire industry, I don't know what your take on that is, but I think we've seen many teams kind of extending their organization in that way. So they hire analysts, they hire people like data scientists to really look into the data and find the nuggets to become better. Now, from your perspective, maybe tell us a little bit about how that SAP partnership has affected those teams from the beginning, and what you think the relevancy is from technology, from analytics on those players and also the coaching staff.
Yeah, and I think just for context for the listener or the viewer, if you look at the biggest game that we are in, besides the 5 players, there's a head coach, there's an assistant coach, there's strategic coaches, there's positional coaches, there's analysts. So there's a real support team around it, sports psychologists as well. So we do we really care like to make sure that everything is perfect in terms of performance. And so within that context, I imagine it also makes sense for anyone listening to this that like the analytical side matters a lot. And especially within gaming and within esports, the amount of data that we have is, I mean, it's tremendous. I would even say like there's so much data you can say it can be overwhelming to some extent. And so that's really where our partnership comes in. I think even from day one that we started talking, I think for our space, our community, but also for Team Liquid in particular, it's really important that we create true alignment with our partners. And stories, yes, but stories that are real. And I think our community sees through it if that is not the case. And so that was the same for you and on your end. And so we found that alignment in analytics, data. And that support for our Dota team helps find the data. It helps present the data. And this might get a little bit technical, but for example, for our Dota team, it helps them to figure out patterns for smoking behavior. That sounds a little bit weird in this context, maybe, but that is an in-game term, or drafts from other teams and other captains. So there's many ways where that can help support our coaches and our players.
And I think it's worth mentioning that I guess we have a lot of listeners who are familiar with traditional sports, but not so much with esports. These games are pretty much fully controlled by their publishers, right? And one part of that is also that these games are being patched on a regular basis. I know from past talks to you, but also to the team, and with our developers who we've hired specifically to work on this subject, that these patches are sometimes a pain because they change the game balance quite a lot. And so insights and analytics that you could do on a previous patch level don't apply so much for the current one. How much do you think does that affect the work with analytics tools, and is there a way around that?
Yeah, I think if the patches did not exist, you can probably get even more out of your analytics. So there are certain topics or parts of the game that are a little bit difficult to touch because they are constantly changing. So you look at the data tells you something, but if you start implementing that or applying that and you realize like actually the game has changed, then obviously that's not going to help you. But there's absolutely elements of these games that stay the same. It's just our responsibility to figure out like which elements do stay the same, which elements have overlap from one patch to the next, and that we utilize SAP support in the right way by doing that.
Cool. Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think we're on a good way there. I think what I want to point out as well is that you grew with the partnership as well from our perspective. Like I said, we hired 2 developers to work specifically on this, and we've seen an evolution on your side as well. So now we have fixed contacts that we are in touch with on a regular basis. We really get the feedback from your side, and we develop features as we go, and it's all about a continuous improvement, which is necessary, right?
Data is one thing, but you need the people that also understand like how to use it. So there's coaches and there's players that have a very intuitive style. They understand strategy. They know what's going on. But sometimes it's difficult to explain it, for example, or what is the basis? What are the facts that they are basing their intuition on? And so when that is the case, it's a little bit more difficult to make use of data. So we also had to grow in this partnership. Like, how do you make the most out of data? Which people are the right people to facilitate that? And so that's really falling into place. We're really happy with where we're currently at.
Let's look at the future a little bit. So I'm actually really interested to hear from you because you're one of the most established organizations in the world. You yourself have a lot of experience. Where do you see esports as an industry right now? Where do you think it's headed? And we can't not mention it, I guess. How is it affected by COVID? And do you think there's going to be a lasting effect on the industry moving forward by this pandemic?
Yeah, of course. We have our own struggles just like anyone else does. But I do think we're able to cope and deal with it relatively, or maybe even really well. So pre-COVID, our big tournaments were played in stadiums. You can have 5,000 to 10,000 people like cheering for their favorite players, cheering for their favorite teams. That is great for the spectator, the visitor, but it's also for the person watching online. That stadium environment is awesome to follow and awesome to feel. So we missed that a little bit, and that is very much unfortunate. But at the same time, because everything we do is so digital, we are able to continue our tournaments. We do play them online, and even though the monetization of what we do, like for example, the partnerships, the media rights, some of those companies are going through their own challenges with the economical crisis. But if you look at the viewership, our viewership is actually up this year. It's doing really, really well. And I think the reason for that is when esports continues and many other sports come to a hold, or they're not as active, people will tune in. They are looking for entertainment. And so the viewership is doing great. Long-term sort of consequences, as you asked, I would say long-term, it can actually be a positive for us, because when the economical crisis either slows down or maybe is entirely gone and growth starts to happen again, I do think a portion of that viewership growth that we've accomplished this year will remain and will stick around. So actually long term, it might be a blessing in disguise for an industry like esports. With regards to where it's going, I have to admit that if you've done this for as long as I have, and the first 10 years were all just a hobby, that wasn't based on where it was going. That was based on in the moment, enjoying what I was doing. And I still feel like that a lot today. And I never really thought about where it was heading or what we needed to accomplish. That was just not a part of my motivation. So it's not something that I spend a lot of time thinking about. Ultimately, what I care about is that Team Liquid is at the very top of this industry. And where the industry will go is a little harder for me to control. And so I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. That said, I do think that esports and or gaming is a generational change. It is not at all something in the moment or something short term. What we are seeing, and this might surprise some people, or maybe it doesn't, but what we're seeing is like, at the upper ages of our fans or even our staff or whoever is involved with esports, people are not leaving. They're continuing to watch. They're continuing to enjoy it. If anything, you oftentimes see like once people establish families or maybe job and work takes over, they might play games a little bit less, but they spend as much or more time watching. It is easier to do on the side. It is very relaxing to watch, and just like watching any other sport. So we see that at the upper ages, and the younger ages are growing up with gaming. Gaming is just such a big part of basically the life of a young child or adult, like in the West, or even in the East. And so we're seeing like that generational change is continuously happening, and I think esports is only going to grow more and more.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And last question for today. A little bit more specifically and a little bit more about something that you're more in control of. What's next for Team Liquid as such? Do you have any exciting stuff coming up? I know you signed a new team this year. I know you have an interesting year coming up next year. So, what keeps you busy right now?
I mean, there's always so much awesome stuff going on. One really cool thing, so we just opened up the facility in the Netherlands a couple months ago. That was a big milestone for us. I founded Team Liquid here in this country and this city even myself, but actually, I'm not sure if this is even public knowledge, but we're actually going to open up a facility in Brazil eventually as well, and we're slowly starting the planning to build something in Sao Paulo, even if it's a long time away right now. And so I think that's really exciting. It's just another example of being a global company, a global industry. So that's really exciting. Yeah, there's always something big going on.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Victor. Thanks for being with us today. Really interesting chat, and a pleasure as always. I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did.
Don't worry about it. The pleasure is all mine. I really appreciate the invite and appreciate the support. And let's go win some more championships together.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And to everybody watching, make sure to follow Team Liquid on all the social media channels. They put out some great content. They have a great community on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Please make also sure to follow SAP Sports to learn more about all the other great partnerships we have in sports, in traditional sports, in esports, and in culture. And there's also a website which you can reach on sap.com/esports-experience, where there's a lot more to learn about our Team Liquid partnership, about their teams, but also about the other stuff that we do in esports. So thanks again for watching, and bye-bye.